U.S. sounded a retreat on its mission to fight the Islamic State in Syria. That question comes as the Russians expand operations in the Middle East, and we learned that the U.S. is not only flying just a fraction of our own missions, but that we are now conceding airspace to the Russians. Then earlier today, the Pentagon suspended a multi-million-dollar program aimed at training and equipping the Syrian rebels. Colonel Tony Shaffer is a CIA-trained intel operative and senior fellow with the London Center for Policy Research. Is that a fair question, Colonel? Are we in retreat here?
Well, one could essentially come to that conclusion based on the fact we've also withdrawn Patriot missiles from Turkey, and we just had a carrier battle group leave the region as well. So with that said, I think what's happening right now is a realization that the current policy is completely in tatters and chaos. Let's remember, this new chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Joe Dunford, just took over. I think there's some rethinking going on. And let's be totally blunt here. That policy, the program of training these so-called moderate Islamic radicals to fight on our behalf, completely insane. It was doomed to fail from day one. So I think what we're seeing here is a clearing the decks to reestablish a baseline strategy which I would like to believe would be effective.
Okay, so the president has been challenged many times on this strategy, right, and his reluctance to change it. He was actually recently challenged by Steve Croft, right, and he's still adamantly denying his strategy while attacking while Putin and Russia continue to gain ground and strength. Listen.
He's challenging your leadership, Mr. President. He's challenging your leadership.
Steve, I got to tell you, if you think that running your economy into the ground and having to send troops in order to prop up your only ally is leadership, then we've got a different definition of leadership.
So if the plan is changing, Colonel, what have we learned now? What has the Pentagon learned? Why are they now willing to change course?
The president is completely putting up a straw man there, and I'm sorry, Vladimir Putin can maybe do what the president can't do, walk and chew gum. I mean, look, Putin is doing this, managing his economy and doing these other things because that's what you do to achieve military victory. Let's be clear here. What is happening is that Putin's coming in to achieve what we failed, to go after ISIS and, frankly, to go after the groups we were trying to support. He's going in with a sword. We were trying to do it with a scalpel's little knife. So what's going to happen here? He's going both ways. He's going to clear it out. And what we have to remember, Sandra, the thing we must do is prevent the fall of Syria. We saw what happened when Libya fell. It became total chaos. So Vladimir Putin recognizes that. The president apparently does not. And that's where we're going. And by the way, we met with the Iraqi and we met with the Iranian Kurds just this past week. We have proxies. We have allies that we could train, we could arm, we could equip. And that's what the president's continued to fail to recognize and be willing to do.
Do you think that we'll ever hear from the president himself that the policy has failed and that we need to change course?
Everybody except the president recognizes, Sandra, that the policy has completely failed. We've been working with members of Congress. Again, we've been meeting with the Kurds. The Iranian Kurds were the most recent. Everybody knows. So it's, I think, time that he recognized that he is literally playing checkers in a game of chess. And that chess game right now is being dominated by Putin. Right now, what he's doing, Putin is actually helping us. With that said, it's going to reach a point of diminishing returns where his interests and our interests diverge. And I'm sorry, Mr. President, Putin is doing what you should have done a year ago.
All right. Colonel Shaffer, thanks for joining us tonight.
Sure. Thank you.